sharing the tea on Google ad grants for nonprofits. But if you never met me before, my name is Sabrina, and I'm the founder of Supporting World's Hope, a consulting company. I started after 25 years in the industry, and we have with us today Jodie Mason, and she is of Nosum AJ Consultant. But before we get started, I know you guys probably have been on here going, she was supposed to be here at 10 and it's 10:10. If you're here, if you can click the heart or the like button, if you can hear me loud and clear, and let me know where you're watching from. And even if you're watching in rebroadcast, if you can hit hashtag like replay and let us know where you're watching from, this will help with our Facebook algorithms. So again, welcome. We're going to make sure we're on the right page. We're going to make sure the volume is you can't hear any feedback. And then we're going to get right into this. Jodie, tell us a little bit about yourself and your experience.
Hey, this might be a little bit different. Let me remember
It's okay.
Okay. So I got my master's degree. I started my master's degree in, I think, 2010, 2011 or something like that. It's been years. And so I got my master's degree. And at the same time, I had a small business, and I started with Google Ad Grant for that small business. Well, not Google Ad Grant, I'm sorry, Google Ads for that small business, and really learning how to manage Google Ads campaigns. I will be honest and say that I lost money the first time around that I actually jumped into the Google Ads platform. And so I quickly had to learn how to manage Google ad campaigns and set them up the appropriate way, do the keyword research and all that different stuff. So fast forward a couple of years, I noticed that they had the Google Ad Grant program, and I was like, maybe I could start specializing in the Google Ad Grants program for nonprofit organizations who want the grant but don't know how to manage it. So that's really how I started and got into it. I started with volunteering, and then I got a couple of accounts, and then I started building and growing from there. So that's really how I got into Google Ad Grants. And it's been a journey, and I loved it, and I'm continuously learning. And that's just what it is.
Yeah, that's what it takes, because it's constantly changing. So for those nonprofits who don't know what a Google Ad Grant is, can you give us a little bit of information about it?
Okay, so Google offers nonprofits $10,000 per month in advertising credits. How they break that $10,000 down is they give you, they divide it by 30.4. So each day you get $329 to advertise on the search network, not the search network, search only. So your ads can appear on Google search if somebody queries a certain term. As of February 2021, Google Ad Grants rolled out remarketing for search ads only to nonprofit accounts. And us who are in that whole community, we're super excited about that. What the remarketing does is allow us to retarget users who already visited your website or who haven't taken action on your website. So we were super excited about that. So that was the thing. That was a big thing.
Good. So that means that anybody, I think you explained it before, like anybody who visits your website, you can retarget them. And that wasn't an option before. Now,
that was not an option before.
Good. On the Google Ad Grants, does that include like YouTube? Like, are you able to do YouTube or anything like that? Okay.
No, you're not able to do YouTube. You're not able to do display marketing. You're not able to do the partner network or the display remarketing. Nonprofits are unique in that they can have two accounts. They can have the Google Ad Grants account, and they can have a paid account. And so in their paid account, everything that they can't do in the Google Ad Grants account, they can do in the paid account. So
got it.
So they can have two different accounts.
Okay.
So make sure you use two different emails. So people get messed up about this. You got to use two different email accounts. You got to use two different email accounts.
if you choose to do the Google Ad Grants and do a paid, so you can supplement each other. Okay. So how does a nonprofit apply for a Google Ad Grant?
Okay. So the nonprofits will start by going to google.com/nonprofits to apply. And there's a button at the top that says get started. It's going to take you through this like mini quiz or mini process to see if you have a TechSoup account. If you already have a TechSoup account, all you have to do is go into your TechSoup account and get your validation token from TechSoup and apply for the Google for nonprofits. If you don't have a TechSoup account, my suggestion would be to go ahead and get that process started on your own instead of waiting for Google to do it for you and to do the TechSoup validation for you. So the first step is getting validated through TechSoup. The second step is the actual application process for the Google for Nonprofit program. And I want to just be clear that this whole process, just from the TechSoup to the Google Ad Grant process, can be anywhere between, I would say, how fast you work, anywhere from a week to up to 60 days or 90 days out. And sometimes 6 months, depending if you're not fast enough with getting all of your paperwork done. So it's a process. So don't think you're gonna get it today.
Yeah, it is a process. I've been through the process, and I say get started now. And I even share in my group, like step 1A, step 1A, just to make sure you get it right, because it can be a little bit tedious. So let me ask you a question around the Google Ad Grants, and why is it essential for a nonprofit marketing tool? Why is it an essential nonprofit marketing tool?
Okay, so the Google Ad, so I wrote this down to help me kind of stay structured. The Google Ad Grant program can help nonprofits drive users from the search engines to their website, and this is very powerful. It's not like social media where you are just posting content and waiting for people to see that content. This is the complete opposite. People are searching for your products, your services, and whatever it is that your nonprofit does. So that's a very powerful thing. You're meeting the user as they're searching. So you're meeting them now. And that's very powerful within itself. I don't know of any other tool where you can do that.
So can I ask an interjecting question, just because I told you I do struggle with this a little bit. So if you are do you set up forgive me if I'm doing it wrong, do you set up keywords for your organization once you get the grant? So for example, if your organization is a youth service or youth development organization, or if your organization is a homeless organization, do you use the keyword homeless, or how does that work?
So with the keywords, it works in a very specific way. I can come up with a list. You're okay. You can come up with a list of, I can come up with a list of anywhere between 50 to 100 keywords for one landing page. And I'm not saying the entire account. I'm saying for one landing page that reflect what that landing page is about. So if you're doing youth development and that landing page is about educating students on money, then I would focus the keywords on the education and how students and those types of keywords. So if a parent is in the search engines and they're looking at how to teach my child money skills, then I would use that type of keyword, because that's the type of keyword that the parents are using. So it's very specific that you need to use wording or keywords that the user would use in your to search. So
not your industry acronyms and all that. It's think like the customer.
You have to think like the customer, and that takes a huge shift for a lot of people to start actually thinking about, instead of thinking, and this is later on in my presentation, but I guess I can say it now, is that you're okay, because it's good for me to say it early, that if a lot of nonprofits and a lot of businesses want to interject themselves into the user, but it's not about the business or the nonprofit, it's about the user themselves. And so we have to take this, I say, a psychological shift from thinking about our services in a very contained box like youth development, and actually broaden that out and actually expand our understanding of what do we consider youth development, because youth development can be a lot of things.
That is true. And most people who are not in the industry don't know what youth development is. They know they're looking for goal setting programs or tutoring programs, or okay, now it makes a little bit more sense to me. Okay.
So if your program is tutoring, or tutoring for 9-year-olds, and that's specifically what you do, is tutoring for 9-year-olds, that is your keyword, or a set of keywords and synonyms around tutoring.
Got it. Okay. Now it makes more sense to me. But I know a lot of people want to know about fundraising. So why is Google Ad Grants a valuable fundraising tool?
Okay. So, like I said, you connect with your user as they're searching. Here's the thing, that another shift in people's mindset that I think people don't understand is that when a person comes to your website from Google search, 80 to 90% of the time, they're going to be a new user. This means that you can't ask for fundraising dollars at the jump. You cannot do that because you have not cultivated that user into your donor stream. So why is that important? The same cultivation techniques that you're using offline, you're going to have to bring those cultivation techniques online. And again, it takes a rethinking of how you do that. We're doing this paper-based, we're sending these things in the mail, but how can we bring all of that content that we're putting in these mailers or in these or in these events, and how can we bring that stuff online to the users that we're trying to find? And that's a major shift for a lot of people as well, and that whole thinking. Let's see where it was. So with Google, it's a great place to connect with trends. So people are searching for trends, and if your organization has some or is part of those trends, you can be found for those trends. Okay, so one of the tools I like for people to use is Google Trends to see which keywords have trended over time. Are they increasing or decreasing over time? So you can easily go to Google Trends, enter your keyword, and see what it looks like. So if you enter youth development in Google Trends, you will actually see what that keyword's trends look like over time, probably for the past 5 years. And what you'll probably see is that not a lot of people are using that particular keyword. But if you go in and put something in like tutoring for 9-year-olds, you'll see a whole bunch of trends for that. And it'll probably since the whole thing, what's been happening, that has probably spiked significantly in search engines. So that's the biggest thing.
Okay.
So here's another example. So if you're a social justice nonprofit and you have a petition that you want that's coming out and you need to get signatures or names to that petition, Google Ads is a great way to connect with people who are in line with your social issues or your social justice issues or whatever it may be. So great way to get names on a petition if that's what you need to do. So the Google Ad Grant can be used for a number of reasons, but as a fundraising tool, you're trying to get people into your funnels and really start to cultivate them. And we're going to talk about content marketing, why content marketing is important, but I'll get to that later. But that's one of the reasons that it's so important for fundraising. So for me, it's getting those people into that whole fundraising flow over time.
Okay. I'm not going to say it makes sense to me, but I'm learning as I go along and I'm processing, which is way better than where I started before I met you. So
I can go into this whole fundraising funnel and what it takes to get there, but it's a process. It's not going to happen overnight. And the thing I tell people is that from the first time that a visitor visits your website, it could take 3 months to 6 months to get them to convert into a donor. Same things that happen offline. With offline fundraising, it could take 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year, 2 years to cultivate people into donors. So the same thing online, but with online, you have all of these metrics to help you shorten those windows and understand why people are interested in your organization. So there's a lot of information, a lot of data out there that you can collect.
Good. So, hey, if you're just joining us, and I see some people have joined us, welcome to our broadcast. We're currently talking about Google Ad Grants for nonprofits, and we've just really covered basically what are Google Grants, how can you apply for them, why they're essential to marketing your organization, and you just heard a little bit around the fundraising aspect and keyword search. So let us know where you're watching from. Put some comments in there. If you do put a comment in there, I can see who's here and I can acknowledge you by name. I do like to do that. Just put where you're watching us from, and or you can put a heart or a like button. This is going to help us with our algorithms. And even if you're watching in replay, this also helps. So we have a couple more questions, and I have a couple of more questions because, as you can see, I am learning. And then as we process through this, if you have any questions, you can put them in the comments. So Jodie, how have you seen other nonprofits benefit from the Google Ad Grant?
Okay, so I currently work with nonprofits who their main goal is not fundraising. Their main goal is to get users to their website to see their content, to join their e-coursework, to watch their videos, to sign petitions, and to do other things. And what this does is at the beginning and during these stages, they're really cultivating people for their donor process. So one nonprofit I worked with, they launched a e-course where I think it was in the beginning of 2020. And so at the initial launch of that, they got, I think, around 2,000 people just from their own sources to join the e-courseware platform. And so how they used the Google Ad Grant and how we used the Google Ad Grant was the after. So have that curve where you get your initial people to sign up, and then you have this kind of flow of where a downturn where you don't have as many signups. So the process is to try to get that downward flow and just continue to get people to sign up or learn about the e-courseware through the Google Ad Grant program. For them, the cost per click is very high with this particular program because it's healthcare related. And so their cost per click is to just drive people to their e-course is around, I would say, any between $4 per click to $125 a click. So just it's expensive. If they had to do this out of pocket, it would be very expensive for them to even drive that awareness to their e-courseware. Very expensive. You can also use it to drive your subscriber rate to your YouTube channel. And the most nonprofits don't know this, that once you get 1,000 followers and 4,000 watch hours on your YouTube channel, you are eligible for the YouTube Partner Program, which is the monetization part of YouTube. But you got to have good content. So once you reach that 1,000 subscribers, 4,000 watch hours, and you're producing great videos, then you can use your website in order to, you can put your YouTube videos on your website, and you can say, hey, watch these videos, subscribe to our channel. This is a great way to help you monetize your nonprofit as well. So that wasn't in my original, but it's a key tip for nonprofits, I think.
Oh, yeah, that's a good tip.
Yes, good tip. So really, if you're looking to do that and you're looking for ways to monetize your nonprofit organization, putting your YouTube videos on your website, make it good content, driving user subscriber rates from your website to your YouTube channel. Great way to do it. Got a question?
I do, because you tickle my fundraising bone. So when you said the healthcare company had an e-course and they use Google Ads to drive people to the e-course or to the page where the e-course is, did they charge for the e-course?
It's free.
Okay. So, but my fundraising bone tickled. If you did have an e-course, right, that you charge for as a nonprofit, let's say you're a nonprofit that specializes in working with kids with disabilities, and you had some content, a course that would help caregivers or parents, you could charge for that, right? Use the Google Ad Grant to drive traffic to that e-course, and then that could be a revenue generating source for you.
Yes. Absolutely.
Okay, and there's nothing wrong with using a Google Ad Grant in that way?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
The only stipulation that they have is that your website cannot be 100% commercial. That's the only stipulation in the policies that Google Ad Grant has. And what they mean by that, you can't look like a for-profit website where the only thing you are doing is selling. Okay. So you can also have an e-commerce website, and you can promote your products with search, or your e-commerce with search. But where your paid account comes in, and I forgot about this one, is that you can drive people to your website, do the remarketing to show and use your paid account to remarket to those people and let them know that, hey, we have an e-commerce website. These are the products that we have out there.
Okay.
So a great way to use the Google Ad Grant. So it's this wasn't in my thing either. So, but I'm just giving you that tip of how it can be used to monetize your nonprofit organization. So again, shifting thinking of how you use it versus just thinking of it as a fundraising tool.
Okay.
So it is a fundraising tool, but expand your thinking of what fundraising is. I think I would say think like a for-profit.
Yeah.
Think like a for-profit in that aspect.
Okay.
So yeah.
So what is required to succeed with Google Ad Grants?
Oh, to succeed. Okay. First off, if your website is not fast, don't apply. If it's slow loading, it's not mobile friendly, and you don't have any content on your website, you will get disapproved. Google will send you a notice back saying, hey, your website does not meet our standards. You got to make sure you have an SSL for your website. So invest in your website and really designing your website to what you want it to be when you get ready to apply, so that Google can say, hey, this website, they have all the content, they are ready, because they're really looking at your website and they're really saying this person is not ready. The second thing is with the Google Ad Grant, it's like, so they will they're not letting everybody on the Google Ad Grant anymore. So they're getting very specific about who they are allowing to have the Google Ad Grant. There are some nonprofits, even if you get the Google for Nonprofit and are eligible for the Google for Nonprofit, you may not be eligible for the Google Ad Grant, because the Google Ad Grant team is a whole separate entity from the Google for Nonprofit team. So they have their specifications of what they're looking for on a website. So to be successful, make sure you have invested into your website and what you want your website to do. You can build your website over time. So if today you don't have an e-commerce platform, maybe you talk to your board and it's part of your strategic planning process. Then maybe in a year or 2 years, you can have that set up, and that you've gone through the process of understanding what e-commerce is, and really understanding what it is and what products you want to sell. So that's really the process. The second thing is be persistent. Don't give up on the Google Ad Grant because it's not working today. It can work. It just takes time to understand what works for your organization. Be consistent. You want to be consistent with your ads, and your messaging. So be consistent in all of that. Educate yourself about the Google Ad Grant policies. There's a ton of policies. One of the things that I see in the forum all the time is there are very specific steps when you get ready to apply for the Google Ad Grant, and you really need to follow those steps that they outline. One of the steps that people ignore is they enter credit card information into their Google Ad Grant. And once you enter credit card information, it no longer is a Google Ad Grant. It is a paid account. And what happens is any ads that you're running with that account, you are responsible for. And if you run ads and run up $10,000 in the month, you're responsible for that ad spend. So next tip, do not enter billing information into your Google Ad Grant account. Okay, never, ever. It tells you in that documentation, it's buried in their documentation, but it's there to kind of, it's there, and they will tell it. And if you've read everything, you will see it. But that's one of my tips. So there's the Google Ad Grant support form if you have questions. There's the Google for Nonprofit YouTube channel. There's the Google Ad Grants YouTube channel. They have tons of videos to tell you how to manage your Google Ad Grants. So I would watch as many of those videos as possible. Again, build your account over time. Don't think you have to do everything overnight. Don't think that you have to spend the entire $10,000, because that is not what the grant is about. The grant is about conversions. And a conversion is any action that your users take on your website. And the nonprofit defines what those actions are. So if it's an email sign up, if it's an e-commerce purchase, if it's an e-course sign up, or if it's an e-course that watch so many videos, those are the conversions, not time on site, not number of pages. Those aren't significant to a nonprofit. It's the ones that are significant for your nonprofit. Those are really the conversions.
Okay. So
I tell nonprofits. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. You tell nonprofits.
Okay. Okay. So I tell nonprofits, don't focus on impressions and clicks as your primary metrics. Those are vanity metrics. They just show me how many people came to the website from Google Ads. What the real metrics to me are those conversions. Those are the real key performance indicators. Learn how to do keyword research. We've already talked about keyword research and why that's so important. So again, I'm going to stress it. Learn how to do keyword research. It takes a dramatic shift in mindset, but if you can think like your user, if you can think like a user, you can do some powerful things. Okay. Learn what a conversion is. I'm going to go back to this, but learn what a conversion is, because not all conversions are the same. And like I said, every conversion is going to be different for every nonprofit. Use the Google Search Console. Not a lot of, and this is very technical. I think use the Google Search Console. It will tell you how your website is performing. It also has keywords for you to use. It will tell you what your landing pages, what people have searched for and landed to your website. It'll give you the keywords. It will tell you if your pages are mobile friendly, all of that stuff. There's also Microsoft Clarity. It's a heat maps tool. I think Microsoft released that in 2020, October of 2020. So it's a relatively new analytics tool. Most definitely connect your Google Ad Analytics account to your Google Ads account. Make sure you're getting data into your Google Analytics account. Because you're going to get a lot of data in there, and you can really start to measure all of your digital marketing channels with Google Analytics. So you can measure your social media, you can measure your e-commerce, you can measure your YouTube, you can measure tons of things with it. So long as you know how to connect everything and get all that information in there, it is a powerful tool. If you A/B testing, I say use Google Optimize. If you're wanting to test your landing pages, like your fundraising pages, to see which ones convert better, use Google Optimize. It's there. These tools are free. I'm saying they're not there. It just takes a little bit of education and learning. And okay, I'm gonna put this out there. If y'all want me to teach you how to do this, you have to tell me. You can go to LinkedIn. You can say, hey, Jodie, I want to learn about these tools. Can you teach us about these tools? I have to have interest. So if they tell me that's what they want to learn about, and I'm glad to educate people on it. It's not a problem.
That was going to be my next comment. It was going to be like, raise your hand if you feel overwhelmed by this. And my hand is totally raised. But my question was going to be is, do you provide a step-by-step detail of not only the application process, but once you get the grant, if you receive the grant, do you provide like what keyword, like help through like setting it up and then managing it?
Yeah, I can. It's fine. I do charge for that. However, yes. I do charge for it. I'm going to put that out there because it's a process. It's not because it takes hours. When I say I have to teach you, it could take like day one we work on campaign setup and account setup, and day 2 we're working on keyword research, and day 3 we're working on ads, and day 4 and 5, 10 we're working on management and how you manage that. So that is a process for me to actually educate people about that. So it's not one of those you're gonna get it overnight. It is an education process.
Right, but there's an education process, and then there's people like me who don't want to learn it, who just want to say, do you do, like, if I apply and I get this, then you set it up and you just kind of tell me what to do, or not tell me what to do, but just manage it. Is that a service, or does a nonprofit? No, honestly, does a nonprofit have to be actively engaged in the process? Because
No.
Okay.
No, if they want to hand it over to a third party company or freelancer or somebody or me, it's fine. That they can hire somebody to do that for them. It's not a problem. Actually, Google actually encourages it. Google Ad Grants actually encourages it. If you can't manage it, they have some resources to help you. If you want a permanent solution, just hire it out. It's okay to hire somebody to do it for you. And you can really say, hey, if you have your marketing goals down and what you want to do, you can just give it over to your Google ad specialist and say, hey, these are the things that we're doing this month. These are the things that we're doing in 3 months. Can you build campaigns for these? You can hire them on a retainer basis. I'm working on an hourly basis. It just depends. But you can hand over your campaigns and say, hey, here's what we're doing. Here's our marketing. And if you don't know how to build landing pages, I can do that too. I do a lot. Sabrina already knows I do a lot. Yep. So if your specialist knows how to build your landing pages for you, do your ad copy, all of that, then they can do that for you if you don't know how to manage it. Go ahead.
Yeah, because it can be a little bit overwhelming for those of us that are not tech savvy, like especially when you start talking about all the data and the analytics and all of that. I know that I've seen nonprofits do very well with the Google Ad Grants as far as driving traffic and the conversions and the leads and things like that. But it can be overwhelming. And that's what I've noticed. And that's why I asked you to come on, is because a lot of the nonprofits in my group, they get the Google Ad Grant and then they have no one to manage it. And they start asking these questions. And if you don't have that expertise in that area, again, it can be very overwhelming. So I thank you for bringing your expertise to my page, because I know it can benefit. I know it can help with fundraising. I know it can help with public relations, but you have to know what you're doing. And so
Right.
At this time, I'm going to see if there are any questions out there. Although I feel like I asked people's questions as we went along, and in the most capacity, because I'm so not lost myself, but it's just so out of my comfort zone that I had questions intertwined in there. So I'll give people time to collect their thoughts and process. And I will say that for me, you guys know that my specialty is I help nonprofits with fundraising. And if you have any questions around that, I'm more than happy to help. All you have to do is visit my website at www.supportingworldhope.com. You can check out my service. And if you're watching it rebroadcast, you can post your questions about the Google Ad Grant or even about fundraising, and we will get back with you. Jodie has agreed to answer any questions. This is a lot of information to process. Every time I speak with Jodie, I learn something new. So it is quite amazing how her mind works and the skill set that she has to make this work for nonprofits and for businesses. So, with that in mind, Miss Jodie, I think people are processing, because I'm telling you right now, every time I speak with you, I'm processing. And then it hits me later like, okay, now that I kind of process that, this is the questions that I have. So I think that people need time for that. But in the meantime, how can they get in contact with you if they have those questions?
They can go to my website. I have forms all over my website, and they could just drop a question in the form, and I will get back with them through that way.
And
that's
your
my primary way.
Is
Jodie, JodieMason.me. That is my website. JodieMason.me.
Okay, perfect. I'll now drop that in the comments too, for for people so they'll know how to get in contact with you, because I definitely would be one of those ones, if I was listening, be like, okay, now I need to get in contact with her. I have processed this a little bit. So are there any final words that you would like to share on this topic of the Google Ad grants?
There are, I think, three, and then I'm going to kind of, because I think the three are most important. First, I work with nonprofits, and you guys use a lot of third-party apps for your website. Third-party apps are great, but when it comes to Google Ads and really collecting data, sometimes those third-party apps don't have a way to send or collect data and send it to your Google Analytics account in an efficient way. And this hurts because, so Eventbrite, you can hook in. If you've got an event you're having, you can hook your analytics account to Eventbrite and send that data to Google Analytics. But there's some event websites that you can't do that with. And so those, and when people register for like an event, you can count that as a conversion, because that's what's important to your nonprofit or to that particular campaign. So be kind of wary of which third-party apps that you're using. Ask questions about the apps and say, hey, how easy is it for us to connect this information that we're collecting from this third-party app into our Google Analytics account. Second is 2023. I talked with you about this, but in 2023, Google will be going cookieless. Firefox and Safari have so far opted out of Google's new process of doing tracking across the web. And what that means is in 2023, across the board with for-profits and nonprofits, is that we will see a lot less data in our analytics accounts, and we're going to have to do a lot of what we call first-party data collection. Nonprofits already do it. They're probably the most excellent at it. You guys, and I hate to say this word on camera, but you already, if you know what donor profiling is, that's your first party data collection method. That is what you're doing right now. All of that data that you have in your databases about your donors, all of this information in your Google Analytics accounts, all this information in your email marketing accounts, all of that stuff needs to be put into one place, and you start to understand who your users are in a very holistic way. Because what will happen in 2023 is that right now Google is giving us some of that data, but a lot of that data is going to go away. And it's going to be called, the short form of it is called FLOC. It's going to be the new tracking in 2023, which is federated learning of cohorts. It's very complicated. It's something I'm learning about right now, and from what I'm understanding, and I told you this, my prediction is that we're going to lose 50 to 65% of the data that we're used to getting. So marketing is going to get tougher. It's going to get way tougher in terms of the digital marketing landscape, but nonprofits already do first party data collection well, and y'all are so ahead of for-profit businesses right now. So that's one of the other things that I really needed to mention. The privacy rules and things that have happened, like right now with Facebook, you're seeing everybody's complaining that they're seeing less data in their Facebook analytics accounts. This is because iOS now has this whole system where users can opt in to whether they're sending their data to apps. And if the user says no, you're not getting that data. So you're seeing that data loss right now with Facebook, especially with Facebook. And that's the type of stuff that we're going to see going forward and moving forward into the future with that data loss. The changes as impressions and click-throughs and all of this stuff, that's going to be a shift. Content marketing, I told you I was going to talk about content marketing. If you don't know what content marketing is, you guys need to learn about content marketing. Content marketing is just producing content for your website. Blog posts is the easiest and the most probably cheapest thing to get into with content marketing. And then moving there from to videos to podcasting or whatever it is to kind of connect your users with your website. So figuring out what is it that user from Google wants to see? Are they there to see a video? Are they there to read a blog post? Are they there to collect information about a particular topic? Are they there to purchase something? What is the kind of intent around the keywords that they're using? And that's what it is, really understanding what the user intent is, and then delivering content to that user, whether specifically for what they're searching for. So if somebody's searching for like a tutorial, like we go back to the example of tutoring for a 9-year-old, and you have an e-course, are they looking for free information? Are they looking for a program in their area? And local nonprofits want to be found for these kind of keywords. Are they looking for a program online? What is it they're actually looking for? So somebody might use a keyword like tutoring for a 9-year-old near me. So that means they're looking for something local. And if you're local, then you need to show it. You need to be seen for that particular keyword if you're a tutoring program. So learning about content marketing, I know I don't want to go into depth about content marketing, because content marketing is a whole other kind of topic, and how to do that is a whole nother topic. So most definitely content market, learn what it is. Actually developing content strategy is what you should be doing. And most nonprofits, when I look at a lot of nonprofits websites, and when they apply for the Google Ad grant, what they're lacking on their website is the content. And they're saying, oh, excuse me, they ask, why was I disapproved? And there's going to be two main reasons that you're disapproved. One, and this is another tip before you apply, make sure in the footer of your website that you put that you are a 501c3 nonprofit organization. Make sure you put that in there, that you're a 501c3 organization, and that you put your tax ID number in that, your nonprofit's tax identification number on it in the footer. And this information needs to reside on every page. And this is tip number 2 about that. On your fundraising pages especially, and this is a Google Ads policy, not a Google Ad Grants policy, that you need to make sure that on your fundraising pages that you have your tax information, and how those how your the tax benefit, not the tax benefits, but that the donation is tax deductible, and what percentage is tax deductible. Because what will happen is there's a Google Ad policy that says if you don't have this information on your fundraising pages, then they will disapprove your ads. And so you make sure you have that information on your fundraising landing pages. If you have an e-commerce store, there's a policy in Google Ad Grants that says that you need to give a statement about who benefits from your e-commerce sales. So you have to have a statement like 100% of our sales from this e-commerce store benefit the nonprofit. So any page that you sell any item on, that really needs to be on that page. So it's important. It's in the Google Ads policy, Google Ad Grant policies. So make sure that you have that information on that landing page. Got some more questions for me?
No,
I talked a lot on y'all.
It's a lot of information, and I wrote down some notes, especially about having that 501c3 and the tax ID number on every page. I think that's good, even if you're not doing the Google Ad Grants. If that's a policy or standard that they have, it's probably good to have that standard whether you're getting this grant or not. So I made sure I wrote that down for the board that I serve on, to make sure that is there. No, there are no other. It's a lot to process. As I always tell you, it's a lot to process, man. You know, I will end with this. Well, not end with this, but I will say this for those that are listening in, and I will only say it from my perspective. I have been thinking about applying for the Google Ad Grant, and thinking, okay, well, I thought it was easy to get, right? Because we applied for the Google Google for Nonprofit, and we did that. And so, yes, did I think that once you were Google for Nonprofit that you can then, you are kind of like an automatic shoe-in for the ad grant? I did. So you cleared that myth up for me.
Yeah.
You're not. Number two is we have a WordPress site for the board that I serve on, and we do use a lot of what do you call it, second party apps, you know,
third party
apps to do that site. So that might be an issue. So there's a lot of things that you really do have to consider when you're thinking about this Google ad grants. And I don't normally say this, and I'm not endorsing anyone in particular. I love Jodie, but this is one of those things that I think that if you're going to do, and technology or this analytics is not your wheelhouse, then you do need to turn it over to someone else, because it can get very overwhelming. And yeah, I feel just a little overwhelmed listening to you, like I always tell you. But you know what? The other thing is, it is worth it because of the conversions and the leads and what it can mean for your nonprofit organization. It could take it to the next level. So I thank you so much for sharing your knowledge, and it gives me a higher appreciation for those nonprofits who have gone through this process. Again, and if you're looking to go through this process, you can reach out to Jodie at jodiemason.me. That is her website, and I'll be making sure I put it in the comments. So with that, I will leave you with this. Your mission matters and deserves to be highlighted in the community. Your mission matters and can be an inspiration to those who need it the most. Your mission matters and deserves to be funded to its fullest capacity. And that's Sipping Tea with Sabrina. So thank y'all, and see you next time. Bye-bye.